All right, all right. Oops, sorry about that. Peace, peace, peace. I uh I stumbled onto a video at the last second there, and so I was trying to review it. I had to watch it a little sped up. I was trying to review it before I went live just to see if there was some information that I could highlight. And I got through it all. Uh, and I was rushing, but even though I was rushing, I feel like I did a good job listening closely, and I didn't hear certain things mentioned. So I just wanted to highlight a couple things here. Um, I'm just getting this prepared, giving people a second to get in here. Peace, 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 peace. Me and more. Get it? Man. All right. Folks is all in here. Let me get started. I got the information together. Oh, you want to come say hey?
I got my hair done. All
right, let me report on this news, man. I got my
news reports.
Just give me a couple more seconds and I'll get started. Okay. Okay. Real quick here. Peace, 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 peace. I'm Rami Salamel. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us. Breaking news. Breaking news. We have an update on the Rise of the Moors Wakefield standoff case. And it appears that another Rise of the Moor militia group member has pled guilty to the charges and has taken a plea deal. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, I also noticed some other things. But actually, before I even get to the notes, I'll play a little bit of this video that I saw at the last second before I started. This coming from uh, the leader of the Rise of the Moor group, Jamal himself. Okay, there it is. Let's see here.
All right, everyone. This information is for educational purposes only and is predominantly targeted towards investigative journalists who often expose how people were unlawfully convicted of things uh, after they're convicted of things. Today is May, right? May?
Yeah.
May 22nd, 5/22/23 at 11:22 a.m.
Start off with today was supposed to be trial.
I'm giving the date for the record so that way when journalists see, they can say, oh, this information was already entered into the record at this point in time before trial. So how did these people get violated all this entire time when it was already known? So that's what I'm going to do. Today was supposed to be trial. It was not. The trial date got pushed back to August 9th. This was filed by me. Well, before this, a motion to enlarge time was filed by me, and the prosecutor did not object. And I might read that too. But if you were listening to the hearing, uh, the judge today, his name was Dave Deacon. He's the trial judge on the case. He said on the record that there's some chief administrative judge that wants to make sure that Lucha and I get tried first, which sounds prejudicial to me. He also specified, and this is a judge, by the way, a Massachusetts judge in the Woburn Superior Court, 200 Trade Center, Woburn, Massachusetts. Interesting how a courthouse is in a trade center, human trafficking. Anyway, this Judge Dave Deacon, said on the record that there is no legal status uh, to the phrase sovereign citizen. He specified that sovereign citizen has no legal standing. And that is very interesting because and I brought this before his attention, in Judge James Boudreau's decision to deny my motions, let me show you his signature. This is for YouTube. James Boudreau. Wait, no, that was Instagram. This is Instagram right here. In his decision, you'll see where he referred to me as a sovereign Moor, which I never said. What is that? Sovereign Moor, which I never said. He also said that defendants and a few associates who self-identified to the police as sovereigns, which we never did. Right? So he's using this phrase sovereign or sovereign Moor or sovereign citizen to justify how we're wrong. Let me see. He also specified that we're not. I mean, I already went over this before, so I'm not really going to go into full detail.
All right, I'm gonna hold it right there. Now the video is 2 hours long, and I listened to it sped up, trying to listen to the gist of it. And from my perspective, it seems like he is just going through the argument or documents that he filed with the court. It feels kind of like making his argument to the people, through social media. So I don't necessarily want to play the entire 2 hour clip, but what I did want to play at the beginning was to highlight that, as Jamal, the leader of the Rise of the Moor militia group, said, there was supposed to be trial today, but trial did not happen. And in fact, trial was rescheduled to August 9th for Jamal, as well as for Stephen Perez. I think that's who he also says is Lucha. And that was by the request of Jamal to have the trial postponed again to August 9th. But I also wanted to update you that there were several other people that were supposed to be having the trial. Omar Antonio, Cano Pierre, and Aban El Kure. They all had their trial also rescheduled, and theirs is set for the trial date of August 7th, 2023. So we have Jamal and Stephen that have a trial date for August 9th, and then we have Omar, Aban, and Conald with a jury trial of August 7th, 2023. Now, what was interesting about Aban and Conald is that they were requested to join and have a joint trial by request of the Commonwealth. Well, actually, Conald, Omar, and Aban were all requested to have a joint trial by way of the Commonwealth. Stephen Perez asked himself if he could join Jamal's trial, and so that's why there's the two groups. What was interesting, though, is that Amar Antonio actually filed a motion in opposition both to Jamal and the Commonwealth's motion for joinder of defendants. So Omar got lumped in with Conald and Aban El Keurig, but Omar, he actually filed a motion saying that he didn't want to be joined in with everyone else. he was in opposition to joining with Jamal or the Commonwealth's motion to join. So I thought that was really interesting. And that sums up all of the updates for most of the people. Now, the one Rise of the Moor militia group member that ended, well, there's already one. What was his name? Wilfredo Hernandez. He already pled guilty. The most recent or newest member of the Rise of the Moor militia group to plead guilty is Aaron Johnson. And he pled guilty to all of the charges on the 16th of May. He was sentenced. Let me see. Let me pull it up here real quick. Just again, I'll just go over the charges real quick. He pled guilty to possession of a firearm, large capacity. He pled guilty to possessing large capacity feeding device, carrying without a firearm, carrying without a license, carrying a loaded firearm without a license, or 2 charges of carrying a firearm without a license, a charge of improperly storing a firearm of large capacity near a minor, improper storage of a rifle and shotgun near a minor, body armor and use of a felony, conspiracy, false ID, information arrest, furnishing to law enforcement, and possessing ammunition without an FID card. So he pled guilty to all 11 of those charges. And then it looks like they lumped charges 1, 2, 3, and 5 together to be served concurrently. And that is no less than 3 years, no more than 3 years in a day. And then the charges 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are to be served consecutively with charge 1. And I think, from understanding it correctly, he's going to do the 3 years in prison for those charges to serve concurrently. But I don't see, it's not in any indication that he was given any additional time on top of the 3 years. So I think that is the package deal, and also 2 years of probation. So he'll have 3 years in prison and then 2 years probation. And then he was credited with 276 days already of time served for being in jail. So, almost, about 100 days short, a little less than 100 days short of a year. So he has, from my understanding, it seems like another 2 years to be served in prison, and he'll be going to Souza Baranowski Correctional Center, which I looked up, and that is a maximum security prison in Lancaster, Massachusetts. So it's unfortunate. It gives some guidelines for his probation, but kind of your standard stuff: obey the laws, got to report in, can't travel, etc., etc. Pretty much standard. But that is the major breaking news in this case, that another Rise of the Moor militia group member has pled guilty. And that's what I want to mention, that I found interesting. And I listened to it once, check it out again maybe down the line. But I didn't hear Jamal speak about Aaron Johnson pleading guilty, why he may have pled guilty, what that means for his case. From my, I was rushing through, so I may have missed it, but I don't think he mentioned it not one time. And I thought that was very interesting. I So yeah, I wanted to play one other thing, and then I'll get up out of here, that I thought was interesting. I just wanted to highlight something for just a records purposes, in case you hadn't been following along with everything. Okay. Let's see.
The form of police question was that it was a request for testimonial communication. That's exactly what that was, because that's exactly what Graham Van Epps is trying to submit as evidence at trial, knowing that our Miranda rights weren't read. And as a bar member, he knows he can't do that, which means what? Maybe you guys should start reporting him to the Bar Association for violating his oath as a bar member. Commonwealth versus Silva. The standard for justifying a stop is reasonable suspicion that the person stopped is committing, has committed, or is about to commit a crime. Trooper Ryan Casey, when you first seen us within the first 3 minutes and told us to sit tight and admitted under oath that you were investigating us, what was your justification? And you'll see on the record that he said he's seen guns, which is not sufficient. Which means what? Our rights were violated. United States versus Lee. There are 3 categories of interaction between police and citizens: consensual encounters, temporary detentions, and arrests. The Fourth Amendment applies to the latter 2. Thus, a police officer must have a reasonable suspicion to conduct a temporary detention or probable cause to conclude an arrest. Now, since the first thing is the consensual encounters, community caretaking is not a consensual encounter. We did not ask for help. And then when he came up to us and asked and seen that we didn't need help, well, it cannot be a consensual encounter because we didn't need help. You came to us. We were stuck on the highway because we needed gas. We were stuck. We couldn't leave. We were stuck. How are we not seized? We couldn't just leave. We were surrounded by 107 cops. How could we leave? Before they stated that we were under arrest, they had already called the SWAT team to surround us. How could we leave?
Now, I just wanted to highlight that one part in particular. I'll play it one more time, but just listen to the narrative of the events from that night. I found it was really interesting. One more time.
Or is about to commit a crime. Trooper Ryan Casey, when you first seen us within the first 3 minutes and told us to sit tight and admitted under oath that you were investigating us, what was your justification? And you'll see on the record that he said he's seen guns, which is not sufficient. Which means what? Our rights were violated. United States versus Lee. There are 3 categories of interaction between police and citizens: consensual encounters, temporary detentions, and arrests. The Fourth Amendment applies to the latter 2. Thus, a police officer must have a reasonable suspicion to conduct a temporary detention or probable cause to conclude an arrest. Now, since the first thing is the consensual encounters, community caretaking is not a consensual encounter. We did not ask for help. And then when he came up to us and asked and seen that we didn't need help, well, it cannot be a consensual encounter because we didn't need help. You came to us. We were stuck on the highway because we needed gas. We were stuck. We couldn't leave. We were stuck. How are we not seized? We couldn't just leave. We were surrounded by 107 cops. How could we leave? Before they stated that we were under arrest, they had already called.
All right. There we go. Yeah. I just wanted to highlight that particular part. That's one part that caught my ear when I was listening. In the narrative of the story, he said that they were stuck. He said, we were stuck on the highway. We needed gas. We couldn't leave. But from my understanding, from their own words, well, one, again, they could have filled up before starting on their journey or their training trip or, their mission, if you will. But also, it wasn't, from my understanding, from everything I've heard them explain before, they chose to pull over. It's not like their vehicle completely ran out of gas and they were forced to fill up on the side. They chose to pull over on the highway, not go to a gas station, and instead use gas in an emergency gas container. So the idea that they were stuck on the highway and that they couldn't leave, I thought was not necessarily the most accurate description. And I think also his understanding of the state trooper's responsibility is a little bit misinformed or ill-informed or not well informed. Because from my understanding, if a state trooper, in particular Massachusetts, if they see a vehicle on the side of the freeway, they have to make a wellness stop to make sure everyone is okay. So them simply being on the side of the road was reasonable or cause enough for the state trooper to pull over and investigate, make sure everything was okay. Then from that point, according to the footage, he walks up on, this group. He already sees them armed with weapons, and things kind of spiraled out of control from there. But, that's just from my perspective. I'm not the judge or the jury or state troopers. So, you know, take that with a grain of salt. That is all of the information I have in terms of the updates as of now. Again, Aaron Johnson, another one of the Rise of the Moor militia group members, has pledged in prison with 2 years of probation. About a year of time already served from being in jail. We have trial dates of 5 individuals that were postponed from today to August 7th and August 9th. Yeah, that looks to be all the movement as of right now. I will pay attention, and when I am updated or find out some news or breaking news relevant to the case, I'll do my best to come and report it. Any other questions before I can get out of here? While I'm on here, yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of for right now. If you want to watch that full video of Jamal reading his court document or motion, go to his Rise of the Moor YouTube channel. Yeah, any other questions? What is my nationality? Moorish American. But never mind. I don't even want to. Hold on 1 second. What's up, man?
Time's ticking. If you're on time, Dad.
What was I gonna say?
Any more questions?
Stay away from social media and fake Moors. I appreciate this comment. It says that the officer is required to. The officer is required to stop and offer assistance. They were in the emergency lane. From my understanding, that's part of their job assignment, that they have to check on people. Further on, Butcher Bird says they can't even try the gambit and improper stop. The officer was fully required to stop. The weapons were openly visible, so the trooper had the obligation to ask for the permits. They did not have the permits nor driver's license. Then they refused to disarm. The rest is history. And RE, the Miranda aspect, that is for after they are arrested. Yeah, I didn't even really want to get too much into the Miranda argument. One, just because I'm not well studied enough, to fully comprehend like all the details and aspects. And also, I heard Jamal state that Trooper Casey didn't read him his Miranda rights, but that's not saying that some other trooper didn't read them their Miranda rights. I don't know the specifics. You know what I mean? That aspect is like, that's for the jury and the judge to decide. I can't argue that way one way or another. Um, but I did want to just follow up and say, to the point about the weapons being openly visible. I think that, in my opinion, seems like the crux of, the whole case is that they were visible. So it wasn't like they did an illegal search to discover the weapons. They were already wearing them in plain view. So at that point, then the officer has a right to say, well, do you have permits? And it kind of just, escalated from there. And I try to keep my opinion out of it, but I do feel, had they just disarmed, it may not have went this way at all. When the officer said, "Can you just put the guns away?" Had they just done that and tried to work with the officer, I feel like things would have, went a completely different route. But that's my opinion. Let's put that to the side because it's the news report. Any other questions? No doubt, no doubt. Welcome on the update. Askia El Nazir Bey, any temples out there coming together to assist those brothers? Just to clarify, the Rise of the Moor militia group organization has nothing to do with the Moor Science Temple of America. Jamal said himself that he does not advocate for the Moor Science Temple of America. He's not a part of the Moor Science Temple. His organization and the Rise of the Moors, they're not a part of the Moor Science Temple of America. So, yeah, I don't understand the logic or the thinking that some temple would be working with them to assist them. Their actions go against everything the Noble Drew Ali taught. So it would be kind of you know, like I'm lacking the word, like just not proper. You know what I mean? Go sit down.
Ironic.
Let me focus. Let me get up out of here. So get this man to bed. Contradictory. Thank you. That's the word. I was like, man, what am I trying to? It wasn't looking for an oxymoron, but it'd be contradictory. That's the word. Yes. Yeah. So it's but yeah, just what I'm saying is that their actions and their philosophy, their ideology, their beliefs, what they propagate, they being the Rise of the Moors militia group, goes completely against what Noble Drew Ali teaches. So, something that I am doing my best to make clear to people watching this or, other videos is to understand that when you see individuals like the Rise of the Moors militia group or Jamal and Taj and others that are propagating, promoting, advocating for these kind of activities or actions or ideology that is classified or framed or identified as sovereign citizen beliefs, please understand that has absolutely nothing to do with the Moor Science Temple of America or what Noble Drew Ali taught or true Moorish Americans. You know what I mean? Like completely separate. They are doing their own thing. And I am reporting on this for a few different reasons, but you know, one of those being to hopefully help make the distinction between, you know, these other groups and the Moor Science Temple of America. Any last questions? Comments? Yeah, nationality doesn't keep you out of jail. Yes, this, you know, this isn't some like if you claim to be a Moor, then you have this immunity from going to jail and you can do whatever you want. That's not what this is at all. And no. All right, real quick, Askia, there is such a thing as a sovereign citizen. You may not agree, you may not believe that, but it is. It's not what I'm saying, it's what this government has already established. You know, plenty of information. If you just simply look up sovereign citizen, FBI, plenty of reports on this, you know, and the criteria or the framework in which they look to identify someone as a sovereign citizen. Again, not my feelings, not my opinion, not what I think, but what the government has already established. Now, you can disagree with that label, you can disagree with that framework, but that doesn't mean that it's not it's no such thing. It is a very real thing, and as we're seeing play out, the actions that the Rise of the Moors have taken has gotten them labeled as a sovereign citizen. You know. Okay, last things. I saw. Yeah. Where's Taj Tariq? C. Cannon Bay, King L, Pauline Ritchie, Sharon Gale, all as silent as church mice. Yeah, you know, I don't want to. Yes. I have a lot to say in regards to it, but I'm really doing my best to just withhold my opinion. But yes, I noticed that as well. I never. I mean, this is not. The topic is serious, but side note, I just never even thought about the idea of jumbo shrimp. That is definitely an oxymoron. This jumbo shrimp. That's funny. uh, uh, is that maybe why they call them prawns if they're big? I don't know. Anyways, never mind. We're getting way off topic. Last questions. I don't see any other questions. A couple more minutes, and I'm gonna get up out of here. Yeah, I mean, I gave updates on the Rise of the Moor stuff. Let me just. Thanks for the clarity. The people need to know the difference. Islam, sister. Islam, peace, Marquise. I don't see any other questions. Someone said they appreciated the zeal of the Rise of the Moors. That's interesting. No, I don't see any other questions. So I think we can call that Saran. This wrap.
Okay, right here.
Yeah. So if there's any, or when there's some more updates, I'll definitely tap back in and give you guys an update on what's going on with the case. Yeah, just in closing, if you're watching this, whether you're a Moorish American or you identify yourself as a Moor, so-called black person, so-called white person, American citizen, people in general, if you're watching this and you've been seeing stuff about Moors or Moorish Americans, and you see some of them talking about, claiming houses and the jurisdiction, U.S. doesn't have jurisdiction, all of that kind of sovereign citizen ideology. Please understand that those individuals are operating and doing their own separate thing. That the teachings of Noble Drew Ali are about respecting government, following and obeying the law, being American citizens, and respecting the Constitution of the United States of America, not some constitution of the Moroccan Empire or Moorish Morocco, or any of these things that have been made up by Tashriq Bey and others. I know it can be confusing, but please understand that there is a distinct difference. Come on, champ.
I want to say bye.
Okay, but let me focus, man.
Okay.
I'm doing rockets and punching. There's a distinct difference between what Noble Drew Ali taught in the Moorish Science Temple of America and the values and principles of true Moorish Americans, and what other groups are doing. I know it's confusing, but please understand they are different organizations and groups. If you're interested in understanding Moorish Americans, understanding the Moorish Science Temple of America, I humbly encourage you to check out what Noble Drew Ali said and wrote. Look into his teachings, his excerpts, and speeches and writings first and foremost, before you may look into what such and such said. But that's all for now. Much love. Most importantly, if nothing else, love instead of hate. Love is the key. Love is the way. We got to love each other, everybody, in America and all around the world. And you have a great day.